Hi everyone, my name is Lori Radis with Paw Designs, and today we are going to do something a little different. I'm going to be making wooden table runner. Yes, that's right, it's a wooden table runner, but it's also going to be double-sided. So let's go ahead with this one. The free SVG will have different designs that you can actually do signs, a table runner, you can actually do iron-on tables or whatever. But let's do the wooden table runner and see what you guys think of it. So I'm using a 4-foot wooden board that's 8 inches wide, and it's people call it pine board, common board, whatever. That's what I picked up at my local hardware store. Then I use paint. I'm using a dark gray chalk paint. It doesn't have to be chalk paint, it can be acrylic. Then it's white paint. I'm going to use baby wipes. The vinyl that I'm going to use red for the one side and black for the other, because remember it's double-sided. Paintbrush, a piece of tinfoil to put my paint on, things like that. So let's go ahead and get going. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a baby wipe to do the staining portion of my board. And one of the things that I like, if you have stain, you can actually stain your board, but I'm using the baby wipe so that it goes fairly fast and things like that. And one of the things when I started going, because this was a chalk paint, and the reason why I was using this paint is because it was a darker color that I wanted to use, I found that if I added water to the chalk paint, it thinned it out and made it really fast for staining the board. And basically I just needed one piece of baby wipe to take care of the whole board, and so it worked out really, really well. Again, if you have stain, the color that you want to use, great, go ahead and use that. But again, I just wanted this darker gray that I had. And I'm going to do both sides because, again, we're doing double-sided. So once you're done with that, the other nice thing about using this is that it dries fairly fast because it's really watered down paint. So it doesn't take long for this to dry at all. And once that's done, we're going to come back and add our top coat on. Okay, next up is I'm actually going to use a white. You can use off-white, whatever color. And I'm using a chip brush. And I'm just going to go over the top. And again, you could do this more of a wash if you wanted to by adding water to it. And then it washed over. I'm just trying to get most coverage. And I'm using long strokes as best I can. And so then I'll take some of the paint, put it in a spot, and then I'm just brushing it out. I kind of want a little bit more of that brush stroke look. I wanted more of that whitewash look, but again, like I said, you could add a little bit of water to really wash it out and put it on. So you can really have a little fun, because I want this board to look a little more distressed. So once I had that done, remember, you need to do both sides because this is going to be reversible, double-sided. And I also made sure that I got my edges when I was doing it. And I just used a chip brush. You get them at the Dollar Tree, wherever you want to get them. And I just kind of went across to get that look that I was looking for. So while our board is drying, and again, all the sides are painted, we're going to go ahead and we're going to weed our vinyl. And because I'm doing two different sides, one says Merry and Bright, and the other side says Gathering Place with Sit Long, Laugh Much, etc. And what I did, and you'll see, it doesn't look like it's as long as the board, and it's not. What I did, because my board is only 8 inches wide, I found that I was able to split the saying in half and twist it around so that I was able to get both of them on a smaller piece of red, because it was the last piece of red in this color that I had. So I was able to conserve vinyl. And one of the things that I also did too was I actually put like a bar under each word so that I could use a tape measure. I have actually a laser level that I could put a laser across the board to do it, but you could use a ruler, a long board, anything like that, so you can actually see underneath the H there's a line, and there'll be one underneath the and. Mary, I accidentally pulled it and didn't realize it till afterwards, but it allows me to line everything up on the board by using those lines to go across. And I also went through and I did weed out the Gather and Bright as well to make sure that I had everything good to go. Now, I did want to point one thing out. and I'll just point this out. I did not put the bars. I did the same thing with the gathering one, the gathering place. I did not use the bars to line everything up on this one. There's actually dots between the talk long, sit long, laugh much, etc. There's actually dots between each of the words, and it was perfect because I could actually use that to line everything up. So I just utilized those dots that were in there for my centering on the board. So just a little word of advice, but you can see here where I actually just went in and lined and set everything up, and then just used the dots between it. One thing to note is I don't normally wad up my vinyl afterwards, just in case I miss something, and I noticed that I missed the dot next to laugh often, and I had to actually go back to the piece of vinyl and pull it off. So it was sitting right there. I was able to pull it off and stick it on. Now, the next thing I want to go through and do is I wanted my board a little more distressed to look like barn board on the edges. So what I ended up doing is I went through, and again, I just used that dark gray in my chip brush, and I just put a little bit on my tin foil. And again, it might have been a little easier to water it down because again, it's chalk paint, so it's pretty thick, and to go from there. And all I did is I took my chipboard and I went a little heavy on the edges, and then I just went through along the bottom of it and just gave it that good distressing look. So then I take my ruler and a liner brush, and I just went across the board center between the two of them. And I had a laser that I could do it with. You could use a long board, you could use a piece of paper, you could use a pencil to draw your line out, and then you just take your liner brush and draw it out the way crossed. The other thing I do when the paint is still wet is I take a piece of paper towel or a rag and I wipe around those edges to give it that nice distressed look. So you can sand it, you could not paint all the way to the edges. You have lots of options. It's distressing, it's have fun, sand it, do whatever you want. It's your board, give it that nice feel. Now that we have the board distressed on both sides, we're going to apply our vinyl. So I'm just taking my transfer tape and I'm applying it onto my words. And then I'm just going to center them onto the board and use my squeegee and rub them on really well and then pull the vinyl off of it. I did put them side by side and find where my center point was and just did a quick fold just so I had an idea. And you guys, you should watch me put transfer tape down some days. I couldn't, all of a sudden it stuck down. It wasn't straight, so I had to cut it off the one side to stick it on the bottom corner. You guys, it's crafts. Laugh at yourself. Enjoy. You're like, I was like, huh, nice one. So you can see where I'm actually piecing it together on here. So again, there's just days when you do stuff that you're like, what am I doing? And one of the things I like to do too is I like to lay my transfer tape face down and pull the backing off of it before I do anything, just to make it a lot easier. And you can see here where I was just finding the center of my board then and go from there. And then I was just using a hinge method to find where everything was. So I just actually pulled up a little bit, stuck down the one spot, got that rubbed on, and then I just flipped it over and then pulled the rest of the transfer tape off. So I mean, it's you can go from there. So you just lay it down and then use your squeegee. Now, one of the things sometimes what will happen, and I find this too with when you're painting on boards, is that not all the time. You can see here I have my laser on, by the way, and with the dot, making sure everything is lined up in position from the bottom. One of the things when I'm using my squeegee on wood, sometimes I find that my words do not want to come off my transfer tape. So make sure you burnish it down really, really well. But there's another trick. As you watch in the video, you'll see me I literally take my squeegee and I put it down and I'm lifting my transfer tape up with the squeegee, and it'll start helping to pull the transfer tape away from the words. So again, I'm just using, my squeegee actually has a felt side and then just the plastic edge, and so I use that squeegee to help me pull the transfer tape away from the board and the words. So just a little trick to try from there. So again, line everything up. My OCD got the better of me, so I was probably over-analyzing it. And lay your words down, burnish them really well, get them up, and then once you're done, repeat the same process on the other side. So just kind of some tips and tricks as I learned along the way. Now also remember, you don't have to do this on wood. If you want to do this on, like say a burlap piece and put them on there to use on your table, you can totally do this. But it was just something that I thought would be kind of fun, and I made it two-sided so I could actually have it for Thanksgiving or even during the year, and then on the other side it's merry and bright. So again, thanks for joining in. I appreciate you checking out my blog. Go check out the free files because there's a couple of different options. They call it the Farmhouse bundle. There's a couple of different options for different sayings, words, signs, etc. And play around with the words. You can actually only use part of it. If you just wanted the word gathering on a sign, go ahead and do that. There's so many different options that you can utilize. So again, Lori Reyes, Paw Designs. Thank you everybody for joining. I totally appreciate it. And